Welcome back to Southwest Yard and Garden. I'm Curtis Smith. It's that time of the year when we're beginning to think, I've got a lot of vegetables. I need to do something with them. Frost will be coming in a few weeks, and our gardens are still producing. What do I do? Well, we can share some of the food with those organizations that share the food with the homeless, or we can can. A few weeks ago, Patricia Aaron with the Bernalillo County Extension Office told us about drying fruits and vegetables, freezing fruits and vegetables. Now we need to talk about canning. So Patricia, we're back. We'd like to know what to do with all of our vegetables and fruits now that we need to do something with them quickly before the freeze.
All right. Curtis, there are two ways to process foods to make them safe. Fruits, jams and jellies, pickles, and tomatoes are processed in the water bath canner. All vegetables must be processed in a pressure canner in order for them to be food safe. Let's talk a little bit about jars. I
see you've got a lot of jars here. Are
yes.
these all good for canning?
No, they're not. Actually, there's only one. You want a regulation canning jar, and those are ones that they are a tempered glass and they're meant to be used and reused. You want a good ring, not the ones that are rusty. Like this would be one you didn't want to use. Yeah, and the jars, things like this mayonnaise jar should never be used because there's a chance of it breaking. These are a one-use jar and they're meant to be recycled, and as are the caps, because you can see that once you use the seal there, the rubber disintegrates and then you don't get a tight seal that would prevent food spoilage.
This ring, I remember my mother would can pears and reuse the lid. How many times can we reuse this kind?
Once.
One use?
Yes, at USDA we really recommend this to be a one use because just like this one, when the rubber here is heated, then the seal becomes ineffective after that. With the seals, you always want to pay attention and follow directions. It will tell you how to treat them before you put them on the jar. If you heat them too long, you destroy the rubber. If you do not heat them long enough, then the rubber is not soft enough to make that seal.
And they're not that expensive, so reuse one time, use it one time, throw it away, and buy more.
Right. If you're canning, you're going to an awfully lot of trouble, and you want to produce a good product of state fair quality.
Yes.
Jars like this also are a one-use jar. You can save these. You could put buttons or something like that to show off some collection. And we no longer can in half-gallon jars. I know at one time, and your mom probably put pickles in these.
Yes.
Yeah. And we know now that the center of the food does not get hot enough to make a safe product, so we don't recommend this.
There have been a lot of changes in the regulations regarding this.
Yes, there have. In 1980, there was a lot of research done right after the war with the Victory Gardens that the Extension Service did. And then again in the late 80s, there was a lot of research because foods change. Tomatoes become less acidic. The public prefers different tasting fruits and vegetables, so we have some new guidelines.
And in the news, we've been hearing more and more about some of the food poisoning, some of the organisms, and it seems like they're changing as well.
Certainly, they're becoming more virulent. And if you are canning, if you follow directions, that's the whole key. You follow directions, you will have a perfect product. I wanted to show you some pears that had been canned. These are pears that were canned in a light syrup. These were canned in a medium syrup, these in water, and these in apple juice. Different kinds of preservation. They're all food safe.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's the most attractive, isn't it? If you had someone with diabetes in your family, you may want to can them in water. Sugar certainly acts as a preservative for canned fruits.
So that's why this one looks nicer.
Sometimes, Curtis, people have what is called floating fruit, and that's where there's a lot of space between the fruit and the liquid. This happens with a raw pack. It's where the apples are not cooked first. They're put into the jar and covered with the syrup, and as they're processed in the water bath canner, then the apples exhaust the air and the liquid and they become lighter than the syrup. Doesn't hurt a thing, it's just not a food safety problem, it's just not very pretty to look at. And you can avoid that by heating the apples or fruit in the syrup for 5 minutes, just simmer them and then pack them into the jar. I'd like to talk a little bit about the pressure canner too, because in order for vegetables to be canned, they must be canned in the pressure canner. In order to destroy the botulinum spore, the food must reach 240 degrees Fahrenheit, and the only way you can do that is under pressure.
I think people think that that's too complex to do, but if you don't do it, it sounds like it's a real safety problem.
It is. It is a real safety problem. We sure don't want anyone doing water bath canning with vegetables. It's just not the thing to do for food safety. And if you follow the directions that come with your canner, there is absolutely no problem. My master food preservers all learned to use the canner and have a very safe product.
And how do you keep your canner calibrated? I know that's something you've helped people with.
Yes, they can anyone can bring the lid, and all we need is the lid to bring it to any cooperative extension office, and we have testers where we build up pressure in a tester and then we test the dial. If it's more than 1 pound off, we do recommend that people get a new dial. They're about $17 to purchase.
That's cheap for the safety that it gives you.
Oh, it certainly is. I want to show you too something that happens sometime when after you finish processing and we get in a hurry and we either lift the weight to get rid of the pressure, or some people will set it in the sink and run water over it. When that happens, what that will do is pull the liquid from the jar. And you can see here that has a headspace of a couple of inches. And over a period of time, these carrots will turn dark because they are exposed to oxygen.
Is this sealed and safe for the time when it's first taken out?
Yes, and you always want a good safe seal. But eventually, probably this one will become unsealed because the liquid came between the seal and the jar. We recommend that you not keep any canned goods longer than 12 months, whether it's commercial that you buy in the grocery store or whether home canning, and you can see the difference here.
I think I like this one.
No, that's the newer one. That was the one that was done this year. This one is a couple of years old, and you can really see how it's deteriorated in color, flavor, and texture. And of course, the longer you keep them, the more chance you have for food spoilage.
Patricia, I remember hearing all my life that beans were a special botulism risk. Is that true?
That's true for all vegetables. All vegetables must be done in the pressure canner. That's a really safe way to make a good product because the vegetables are low acid. They have to be processed under extreme heat, and you can only do that with a pressure cooker.
And so, say it over and over
Yes.
and over again. Vegetables, you said meats,
Poultry, seafood.
All of those
Yes.
must be done in a pressure canner. Do you have publications to advise people on that?
Yes, we certainly do. We have 3 publications if you're preserving tomatoes at home, if you're canning them, and that's Guide E306, Home Canning of Fruits, Guide E319, and Home Canning of Vegetables, Guide E307. Your viewers can request these from any office in the state, any Cooperative Extension Service office, and we'll be happy to mail them.
Well, one of the purposes of this show is to encourage people to garden, but then to use what they've produced in the garden. We want them to use it safely. So thank you so much for this
You're
excellent
welcome,
information.
Chris. Thanks for having me.